Hello, my friends and fellow Bigfoot enthusiasts. Welcome to another exciting episode of Bigfoot Uncensored. We've got an outstanding show for you today. Our special guest is our good friend and guide, Forrest Walker, joining us from an undisclosed location on the Kenai Peninsula of Alaska. Well, good afternoon, Forrest. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show today.
You're sure welcome, Jack. It's a real pleasure joining you today. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk about Bigfoot.
You know, Forrest, I was watching one of those Bigfoot shows the other night. You know the type. Overweight, white guys in full camo, night vision goggles, thousands of dollars worth of high-tech gear, beating on trees with bats and whispering into cameras in the pitch-black woods. They're always just on the verge of finding Bigfoot. You know, a snapped twig, a 10-inch turd, a possible trackway, a weird heat signature, or Bigfoot himself. But they never actually do.
Let me guess. They found a footprint, heard a howl, were on the verge of something big, and then the season ended with a dramatic "to be continued."
Exactly. It's always the same story, and it got me thinking. We've been looking for Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, for decades, with satellites, drones, thermal imaging, and with hordes of southern white trash. How is it possible that a creature, supposedly a giant undiscovered primate, hasn't been caught yet? Is he just that good at hiding, or are we just incredibly bad at looking?
Or, and here is the uncomfortable question, is the entire premise of looking flawed from the start?
Flawed how? Like we're looking in the wrong places?
No, flawed in the sense that you're bringing a net to catch a ghost. You and others are looking at this through a very specific, very Western lens. Biology, taxonomy, conquest. You want to find the creature, tranquilize it, tag it, and put it in a textbook. But if you shift your perspective, specifically, if you look at this through the lens of First Nations history and oral tradition, the idea of capturing Sasquatch isn't just difficult, it's actually impossible.
Impossible is a strong word.
It is. But today I'm going to explain to you dumbasses exactly that. You see, Sasquatch, or the old one, isn't a biological specimen waiting to be discovered. He's a supernatural being. And the reason you can't catch him is because you are fundamentally misunderstanding the rules of engagement.
Okay, I'm hooked. Because usually when we talk about this, it's all about evidence. But you're talking about a relationship.
Precisely. Think about the history here. Before European settlers arrived with their maps, guns, liquor, and smokes, indigenous peoples walked these lands for thousands of years. They didn't see the forest as a resource to be exploited or a puzzle to be solved. They saw it as a community, and Sasquatch wasn't always seen as a monster to be feared. Mostly he was seen as a neighbor, a very large, powerful, mysterious, and foul-smelling neighbor, who it was best to never piss off.
So there's definitely a broad distinction between Western science and indigenous wisdom. The Western approach is what I described earlier, the cameras, the traps, the guns. It's aggressive, right? It's about acquisition.
It's the restless urgency. That's the key phrase. Western exploration is often driven by this need to expose the truth, to shine a bright light in the dark corners. It wants irrefutable proof, but that mindset is loud. It's intrusive. It stomps through the woods demanding answers. The First Nations perspective argues that this very attitude is what drives the Sasquatch away.
It's like trying to make friends with a stray cat by running at it with a cage.
That's actually a surprisingly good analogy there, Skippy. If you run at it, it bolts. But the indigenous approach is about listening deeply and moving gently. It's about honoring what cannot be seen. It's a complete inversion of the scientific method. Instead of active pursuit, it's passive reception. You don't find Sasquatch. Sasquatch decides if he wants to be found.
That shifts the power dynamic completely. In the TV shows, the humans are the hunters. In this view, the humans are the ones being watched by the hunted, ever so unaware that any moment Sasquatch could attack and beat them senseless with ease.
Exactly. And I want to mention something that is really important about how you signal your intent. Because if you're not there to capture him, how do you show respect? How do you say, I come in peace?
In the past, you had mentioned something that honestly surprised me. You had talked about the importance of offerings, specifically liquor and smokes. Could you elaborate on that a bit for our listeners?
Certainly. I am pleased you remembered that.
Well, yeah, but it sounds a little bit like a bribe, doesn't it? Here's some whiskey and a pack of smokes, now come say hi. But I have a feeling I'm misinterpreting the cultural context there.
You are. But that's a common reaction. In many First Nations traditions, tobacco is sacred. It's not just a habit, it's a medicine, like whiskey. It's used in prayer, in ceremony, and for healing. When you offer tobacco to the land or to a spirit, you aren't paying them. You are opening a channel of communication. You are acknowledging the spirit of the place.
So it's a protocol, like shaking hands or taking off your shoes before entering a house.
Exactly. It's a gesture of acknowledgement. And yes, spirits, liquor, can play a similar role in certain traditions. It's about sharing something of value. When an outsider just stomps in with a camera and a drone, they're bypassing all these social protocols. They're being rude guests. They aren't bringing gifts, they're bringing demands.
And if you're a rude guest, the host, in this case Sasquatch, just locks the door, or gets pissed and decides to beat you to a pulp and tear you limb from limb, kind of like in the famous Bauman story.
Exactly. Or he just leaves the building entirely. Tradition suggests that these offerings signal good intentions. They show you are willing to engage on sacred terms, not just scientific ones. Without that, you're just an annoying intruder.
This leads me to another idea, something deeper, and one which honestly gives me chills. The idea that Sasquatch isn't just hiding behind a tree, but they journey between the visible and invisible worlds at will.
Indeed. And this is where we leave biology behind and enter the realm of metaphysics.
Right? Because if Sasquatch is just an undiscovered North American primate, eventually we'd find a turd, a bone, a pair of lips, or carcass. We certainly would have cornered one by now, you'd think. But if they can move between worlds, that explains the lack of physical evidence, doesn't it?
It does. And this is a concept that is very hard for the modern, greedy, materialist mind to grasp. It wants flesh and blood. But the indigenous perspective suggests that the Sasquatch possess a wisdom that perceives intent. They can literally sense why you are there.
So they're telepathic?
In a sense, or just hyper aware in a way that modern man has lost. Think about it. If you walk into the woods looking for fame, looking to land a TV series, looking to be the guy who found Bigfoot, that energy screams out. It's an energy of ego. And the Sasquatch, being guardians of the forest, recoil from that. They remain in the invisible world to keep the mysteries of the land intact.
And that's a beautiful phrase. Keep the mysteries of the land intact. It implies that the mystery itself has value. We're so obsessed with solving mysteries that we forget that maybe some things aren't meant to be solved.
Whitey treats mystery as a problem, a deficit of knowledge. But in our worldview, mystery is a layer of protection. The forest itself is alive. Sacred tradition teaches that the forest remembers those who treat it with care.
That's profound. The forest isn't just scenery, it's a witness.
It is. And this brings us back to why Sasquatch will never be captured. If the forest is on his side, and if he can step between realities, and if he can read your heart, your guns, liquor, traps, and night vision goggles don't stand a chance.
It makes all those TV shows about Bigfoot seem almost childish, doesn't it? Like kids playing hide and seek with a grandmaster.
It really does. It highlights the arrogance of the modern world. We assume that if something exists, we have the right to see it, touch it, and own it. We assume everything is for us. The First Nations perspective offers a slice of humble pie. You are not the main character here. You are a guest. And if you don't behave like one, you don't get to see the host.
So let's say someone actually wanted to have an encounter with a Sasquatch, not to capture, but just to witness. From your perspective, what would they have to do?
Well, first of all, they'd have to leave the camera and night vision goggles at home. And most importantly, they'd have to leave the ego at the door. They'd need to go in with humility. And with those offerings we discussed, a gallon or two of good corn liquor, and a couple cartons of smokes as a, gesture of respect. They'd need to enter the forest as a caretaker, not a conqueror.
And even then?
Even then, no guarantees, because the Sasquatch isn't a zoo animal performing for treats. He's a supernatural being. He reveals himself only to those whose spirits are open. And frankly, most of you in the modern world, your spirits are too cluttered with noise and ambition to ever be that open.
It's ironic. The people who want to see him the most, the hunters, the researchers, the wannabe reality TV stars, are the ones least likely to ever succeed because of how they want to see him.
That's the paradox. The desire to capture creates the impossibility of capture.
It reminds me of that saying, some truths are not to be taken or displayed, they are to be cherished and protected.
You know it's Slim. Just imagine if someone did catch him. Imagine Sasquatch in a cage in a research lab. It would be a terrible thing indeed.
It would be tragic, to say the least, and it would certainly drive many to seek comfort in the bottle, or worse.
It would be a spiritual violation. It would break that ancient covenant between the people and the land. The fact that he remains uncaptured is actually a victory. It means there is still wildness left. There is still something bigger than us, something we can't control.
And in a world where we've mapped every inch of the globe and tracked every purchase we make, maybe we need that. Maybe we need to know there's something out there that says, no, you can't have this.
I think we desperately need that. We need to be reminded of our limits. We need to be reminded that the world is older and stranger than our science can account for.
So the next time I see grainy footage or hear another incredible story about an encounter with Sasquatch, I shouldn't be thinking, why didn't they catch him?
No, you should be thinking, I'm glad they didn't. You should respect the boundary. The mist, the trees, the shadows, they are doing their job. They are protecting the Sasquatch from you and your kind. And maybe, in doing so, they're protecting you people from your own arrogance.
That's a powerful place to leave it, my wise old friend. The idea that the ultimate discovery isn't finding the creature, but rediscovering our own humility.
Well said, you one-eyed devil. The forest is listening after all. Best for you and your kind to walk softly the next time you enter the forest.
Indeed I will. Thanks for walking us through your unique perspective today. It certainly changes how I'll look at the tree line next time I'm out there.
And just remember to bring the liquor and smokes.
I certainly will. Once again, thanks for being on the show, Forrest. And to everyone else, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.